Yeah, we are live.
Great. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a little late in Australia, but thank you so much for doing it nonetheless.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, Weber is also here with me. And before you joined, we were talking about your music. And there's this particular video that I was very intrigued by. I think you're sitting on a red lawnmower, and the song is cover of your code. And I just wanted to know, like, what was the idea behind that music video?
I suppose I've always found making music videos a little bit of a tedious exercise, and I just wanted to do something that I guess was ridiculous, found funny, and yeah, I guess it was kind of inspired by Wes Anderson films, like that sort of idea of
Yeah.
I don't want to call it random, but I want to call it I guess almost like cinematic, like ridiculousness, and I really love that stuff. So yeah.
That's nice. And I also realized that you are heavily into lyrics, because I was reading an interview of yours and you were talking about how a friend of yours and you were once arguing about lyrics versus the music. And I
Yeah.
think the same happens to Weber and myself. I'm more into lyrics and Weber is more into music. So did you finally choose something, lyrics over music, or?
No, I think the older I get, the more I appreciate the other sides to music, the melody and the structure, and I guess like the harmony of it. But for me, my first love is lyrics, so I think it'll always be like that. I love the way you can use language to tell a story in a different way, and that's what really excites me about music.
And what is your process of writing a lyric?
I guess it depends. Sometimes it's all about finding a hook, like something that is interesting and can be at the center of a story, and then fleshing it out, sort of almost like starting in the center and building outwards. And other times it's a story that starts at one point and then finishes another point, and other times it's like a blend of different stories. Like sometimes it's you might meet someone while you're having a cup of tea, and then you might meet someone at a hospital, but these stories somehow find their way and they intermingle, and sometimes it's nonsensical until after the song's written, and only sort of maybe months down the track do you start to understand what it meant for you at the time. And I think I try to be pretty free with my songwriting, and just I guess not self-edit as I'm writing, and after that's done I'll go back and look over it again.
Nice. So who are your favorite storytellers as well? Do you seek inspiration from certain people, or?
I think so. When it comes to music, in terms of storytelling, I really love Paul Simon. think he's such a wonderful storyteller. I love Peter Gabriel for, I guess, how abstract he is, and I think I love Sting's lyrics. I know a lot of people don't like Sting, but I think his lyrics are so beautiful and gentle and poetic, and at times they can be aggressive. But I guess my favorite storytellers are some, I guess, 20th century English writers like Somerset Maugham and Graham Greene, like these writers that I think just had such a great command of the language which I write in, which is English. So I guess I do a lot of reading, and that really helps me with expressing myself.
Right. So, what were the authors that you read during lockdown? Did you do a lot of reading in lockdown?
I did. I did as much reading as I could. I guess lockdown here in Australia started in March, and at that point I had a little baby boy who was 3 months old.
Oh.
So he was requiring a lot of attention. But I read a fair bit. I read Haruki Murakami. I read a few of his books last year. Like Somerset Maugham, the same guy I mentioned. Joseph Conrad as well. I read a couple more of his books. I guess he was most famous for Heart of Darkness. William Dalrymple, who's actually done a lot of writing on India. I read a really great one of his books. I think I read quite a lot. Oh, and I read like some World War II spy novels that were really great too. Some a guy called Alan First, and then some Cold War ones like John le Carre. So I got stuck into it.
Which were the Murakami books that you read?
I've read so many.
Oh, let's talk about them, because we like we can talk about it for a long time. Like, which are your favorite Murakami books?
It's hard for me. Like Norwegian Wood is, I guess it's the most direct,
accessible
of the
book.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love everything he writes. Like A Wild Sheep Chase. You know that there's that trilogy, and I love those. South of the Border, West of the Sun. I love. Like at the moment, I'm actually reading one at the moment, which I don't think is in here, but it's I'm gonna get the name wrong. Is it it's the end of the world,
hard-boiled egg something. The egg one.
Yeah. I'm reading that at the moment. I'm about a quarter of the way into it, and that's really good.
Nice.
I read a really great one of his that's not a novel, but it's kind of
collection of short stories.
Yeah. Oh no, it's what I talk about when I talk about
running. Yeah.
That's incredible. Like I really loved that. Men Without Women too.
Yeah.
Was really incredible. Yeah. And what the colorless life of whatever that guy's name is.
You have been like totally deep inside Murakami, like in the terms of your like you have read quite a lot of them.
He's incredible. Yeah. The Wind Up Bird Chronicle as well.
Wind Up Bird Chronicles.
Yeah.
Last month we all were reading his book Kafka on the Shore on the channel, like all of us.
That's cracker.
Yeah.
That's an amazing book.
Yeah.
So
all of them, like I personally prefer his short story collections, like Elephant Vanishes, Blind Widow, Sleeping Women, and like you said, Men Without Women.
Men Without.
Yeah, they are really nice.
I find him, I guess everyone says the same thing when they're talking about Murakami, but I find him so amazing the way he tricks you into thinking that you're in the real world, but then you're in some fantasy all of a sudden, but then there's elements of the real world still, and you don't know which one you're really existing in. I find it so exciting.
Yeah, nice.
I also know that you started reading when you were quite young. So do you have any book recommendations for children, like children's books that every adult must read?
I mean, apparently it's not really politically correct to recommend Roald Dahl anymore, but I used to read a lot of his books, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and James and Giant Peach. I loved those books, and I'd read them over and over again because there was something about them that was so approachable every time you would read them. I read the Narnia books too, the C.S. Lewis. I loved those too. I think maybe even back then I was attracted to this other world, you know, this I guess I wouldn't I'd call it fantasy, but still with one foot in reality. I really love that.
This is such an interesting thought. Fantasy with one foot in reality.
Yeah.
This is
but not the other way around. Not reality with one foot in fantasy. I think it's got to be, you have to have like there has to be a greater element of fantasy that you can escape to. I mean, maybe that's part of what it is.
Yeah, because that is, I think, the same reason why they call the Murakami novels magical realism. There is magic and there is reality at the same time. And you would, after a point, you should not try to like use logic while reading Murakami, because you wouldn't know if this is the magic part or the real part.
I tried that and I like suffered.
Yeah. But I guess it's kind of like cooking in a way, isn't it? Because it's the balance of whether you have the sweet and the salty and the spicy. Like that balance is what makes you come back for more. You know, it's just really great.
Nice. Are you also like you would mention like what I talk about when I talk about running? Apart from that, like, are you into non-fiction also?
I do read some non-fiction. I actually just read. This is a really great book. It's actually it's about the East India Company, which pretty horrible, as we all know, but it was incredible, and it's a William Dalrymple writes mainly history these days. Anyway, he used to write travel narrative, but mainly history, and this was incredible. I didn't think I'd get through it, because a history book that was 600 pages long, I thought, I'm not back at university again, but I couldn't put it down. It was so incredible and heartbreaking, and but beautifully written. So I mean, I guess I'm into that sort of thing as well. And I read biographies. Like I read, like I'm a bit of a nerd. I love one man's cooking shows. He's an English celebrity chef called Rick Stein, and I love him. And I read his autobiography last year and loved it. And I read musicians' autobiographies as well.
That can be the next segue, like the autobiographies of the musician. Which are the ones that you like?
The one that had the biggest impact on me was the Sting autobiography.
Which one? I'm so sorry, I missed it.
By the artist Sting.
Okay.
Yeah, from the Fleet. Oh my gosh, it was so incredible. I guess it was self-written too, and he's a wonderful writer. And I got so much out of it. I think I read it a few years ago, and it definitely changed my approach to songwriting, because I think that I think sometimes as in whatever craft we decide to put our hand to, we can get lazy, and you realize that you stop pushing yourself, and then suddenly another door opens. And for me, it was reading this book, and I realized that I could get better at what I do, and I could work harder. And it was a pretty good book to read. And the next one I want to read is one of the Jeff Tweedy books, one of the Wilco books, because apparently it'll transform my writing yet again.
Nice.
Have you also read City of Gins by William Dal? I don't know how to pronounce the second name, but
yes, I have.
Yeah, because that's a great book about Delhi.
Yes, exactly. I came and visited Delhi in 2008, and I just read City of Gins, and so I took my little book round everywhere I went. We went to Chowning Chowk and to Qutub Minar, and we went to Red Fort, and I loved it. I loved sort of being part of it, and I stayed with a wonderful family and just had a really, really great time. And I think that, I guess it's like when you listen to it, when you're going to a live show and you listen to an artist's records, you enjoy the show more. I feel like for a first time to Delhi, because I'd read this book, I just found it so magical and enchanting and busy and bustling and colorful, and it's great.
Nice.
So what was your favorite destination in your tour, if I may ask? And are there any particular foods or delicacy that you really like?
In India?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the food is incredible. Like I tell you what, my biggest, what blew my mind, and this might sound just so ignorant, but that curry itself is like an English thing. Like there is like the word curry, like it's like chol. It could be like a gravy, or it could be something else. But we've sort of, so that we can understand it as simple sort of English speakers, we've made it like curry. Like, but it's so different. And so we had the family I was with took me to so many different places, and we had beautiful fried vegetables, and we had like beautiful, like what I would call curries, and most of it was vegetarian. I absolutely loved it. And then we had like I had the lassi, the mango lassi, and
Ah, nice.
so good. Oh my gosh. Because it was hot too. It was so
Yeah.
hot. It was perfect. Yeah, we ate. I mean, I drank so much chai. Like, I just, yeah, I really had the best time. And you know, the thing is, I'm an Australian. I love drinking beer. Like, I'm a beer drinker. I didn't drink beer the whole time I was in India. I didn't miss it. I think that maybe the last day I found a kingfisher at a hotel bar or something. It was great. Yeah.
I have a very different question now. Like, is there any kind of music genre that you detest, that you don't like at all?
It's, it's a really tough question. But the simple answer is yes. I I think that I really don't like mainstream popular music, as it, on the big sort of hit stations in America and that, where it's just every song sounds the same.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like they're I guess they're pretty graphic and crass lyrics, and I don't know, like I just I find the songs themselves boring, and I find that the only thing giving them interest is that they're trying to be edgy with what they say, and
Yeah.
I think that's lazy. I
That's
don't know.
lazy. Yeah.
I don't like it. Yeah.
I like how you
Probably.
said it's lazy, because yeah, that's the case like more often than not. Like when people just become lazy because they think, hey, we were like, people will just listen to our music, so they just get lazy. They don't experiment or they don't try anything new. That
No,
happens.
and
Yeah.
it's like a formula, isn't it? They keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it keeps working.
And it
Like
keeps working. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's the sad. Yeah.
What about
And
you?
no, I don't know. Like I try to like listen to everything. I ask this question because mostly people say electronic music, and I am into electronic music a lot. But mostly when I ask this question to people, they are like, we don't like electronic music. Then I tell
No.
them, hey, let me send you a few links. Maybe you did not get the right endpoint, because I basically, by electronic music I mean like techno music in particular, like very uh, almost non-melodious techno music, almost, which is like white noise. It's like you stretch the music to a level that it becomes like white noise, and I like that kind of, where like the recursive loops which are there. So there are a few artists which are like, there's a YouTube channel, Boiler Room, where all these artists come and perform. So I just, every day I wake up, I listen to one Boiler Room or the other, because I'm just into electronic. Mostly people have heard David Guetta and things, and they are, that is mainstream electronic music, and that is why they detest it. But that's not the electronic music which I would suggest people or recommend people to listen to.
So what is it about it that you love so much? Like, is it?
So I am like, by nature I am a person, I can't pay attention to lyrics. Like if you will make me hear like a song, Vani and I talk a lot about it. So like after like 5 minutes, if she'll ask me, hey, what did you like, and if like we listen to the same song, she'll tell me, did you focus on that line? I'm like, hey, I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. I always pay attention to some sort of like some sort of, I don't know the English word for that, but the dhun, like like I would like the tunes, or some kind of beats,
Melody.
the
Yeah.
melody.
I don't know.
But I'm
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of melody. That's also a problem. Like melody, I think, is overrated. This is one thing. Like too like the song is melodious. Like I think that is something which puts me off a lot. So not into melody a lot, and that is one of the things. Uh, I will send you a few links because there are such good endpoints, like which is taken slow. It's like you will think it will get repetitive, but with every alteration, with every repetition there is slight alteration. It's just
Yeah.
the same, but it is never the same. That
So
is
it's quite,
what I like about techno music.
yeah. I mean, it's hypnotic, isn't it, in a
It's
way?
hypnotic, exactly. It's hypnotic. It helps me work better. It helps me, like,
Mm.
people like lo-fi beats so much, right? Like people put
Yeah.
on these lo-fi music while they are working. That's pretty much the same reason also. For me, that's
Yeah.
like one step more than that, the techno music. But I am not allowed to play that music in parties because people run away. So I just I just like try to find people like at least I find someone with whom I can share such music. It happens,
Yeah.
but more often than not, it never happens.
I remember you shared, you introduced me to electronic music, and the first song that Weber sent me actually, I was a little anxious, and then I just focused on the music, and then with each alteration, if you pay attention, you're able to identify it, and then it gets so addictive that you find yourself doing it even when you do not want to.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if I was able to
Yeah, you
convey,
did.
but
And
yeah.
I'll tell you this a very interesting thing. I love reading music reviews on Pitchfork. So like let's say if I like a techno artist, so there's this one particular guy, Philip Sherburne. I love reading how he describes techno music because people think techno music is dik 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 dik. It's not. Like he understands what's happening, what he tried to do, and like what are the alterations and the small details he tried to put in those. The reverbs, I love reverbs in songs.
Yeah.
Like the reverbs work a lot for me. There's this band which is not totally electronic, The Acid. It's like The Acid like uses a lot of reverbs with lyrics, so you put those I love distortions. I love distortions, reverbs. These are my kind of things, like you asked. But I know it's very self-indulgent, but I'm sorry. Like it's
No, no, it's great. I mean, it sounds like you like it to. It sounds almost like you like it to be otherworldly as well.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's almost like we were talking about the Murakami thing. I mean, I think music is amazing because it can do so many things in different forms.
yeah.
You know, it's funny. Like I love to listen to music while I read, but I can't listen to music that has any lyrical content that I can understand if I'm
Yeah,
reading.
yeah.
And
That is one of the reasons why I like Sigur Rós so much, the Icelandic
yeah,
band.
I was going to say Sigur Rós is the band.
Yeah,
That's the band.
that's the
I just
band.
I just do album after album of Sigur Rós while I'm reading, and it's perfect.
It's perfect. Like, and there are some songs that I like to play while reading some particular sort of books, right? Like Sigur Rós is a mood. Like I know when I play this, I need to be doing certain activities. I do this very weird thing. It's very weird. Like when I like one song, so I go to jiffy.com and I play. I go to a vintage gifs. I find those gifs and like a Audrey Hepburn gif or like a activity of like some Walt Disney cartoons, and they play them on loop, and then I play my favorite techno music, and then I use this moon lamp to make it red, and then I bring my coffee, and then I just it's like a very meditative experience for me. The
And
right
you're
techno music plus the right video graphics, like the imagery that I get to see then, and the right lighting in the room. It's like
now, can you tell me how did you figure that out?
it took a lot of experiments because uh, it's something I have to like thanks to COVID, like I got like the chance to like experiment more with it. But I don't know, like it's a very mood uplifting thing for me. Like if I'm feeling sad or like shitty, and if I know there is this song by John Hopkins, Collider, which was the first song which I had sent to Vani. So I know if I listen to Collider by John Hopkins, the at least my mood will be better by like 30%. But
Yeah,
it's not just listening to Collider. I can't listen to Collider in sunlight. I need to be in a dimly lit room, and
yeah,
yeah, the
Yeah.
dimly lit rooms maybe like do half the job. It's like it's
yeah.
Yeah.
mostly the dimly lit room or and the perfect lighting. Like Vani and I talk. Vani recently made a podcast. You should listen to it if you get a chance, about how much she hates white lights and a thing for yellow lights. Because in India, like they are converting everything to white, and we are like, white doesn't have character. We need yellow lights back. Yellow, like you also have a
Yeah.
yellow light in the frame, right?
I can't. I'm exactly the same, and I really don't like too much overhead light either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I can't do it. Yeah, I walk into someone's house, and even if it's not my house, I'm turning lamps on and I'm turning lights off, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's compulsive in a way, but if you get the lighting right, you're so much more peaceful.
It is peaceful. A friend told me recently, because I thought it was so weird. A friend told me that his mentor first calls to a hotel and asks in the room, do you have white lights or yellow lights? And if it's the white lights, he gets the bulb changed for like 2 or 3 days, because people. And I'm like, hey, this is me. This is me 10 years later. I'll be changing bulbs in hotels if I travel to places.
Oh, it's the first thing I do in hotel rooms, but I don't get the
You
light
do
bulbs.
that?
No, I don't get them changed, but I go in and I find the yellowest light and I'll point the lamp at the wall.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that the lights are never turned on and just have lamps. You know, if I have natural light, I'm fine, and then until it goes dark, and then I'm into the lamps. But it's so important. I actually genuinely think it's so important.
Yeah. People just don't talk enough about it, and then I think these are my weird quirks, but like every now and then I find people, they're like, hey, I do the same thing.
Yeah. It's massive.
Yes, I don't know where we went with this whole time, but yeah, I was just like telling you ki techno music. Like, let's talk about Sigur Rós for a minute. What do you like about Sigur Rós?
Ironically, I really like his melody.
Yeah. That kind of melody I also like. That is the melody I also like. Yeah.
But I feel like it's the music is quite cinematic. And I love that music can like certain albums like Valtteri. Like if I put that record on, I'm immediately on tour in America, in my bunk in the tour bus, reading Lord Jim by Joseph Conrad, because that, for me, I'm right back there.
Yeah.
It takes me back to where I was. And in the book Lord Jim is this first mate on a vessel, but the ship it crashes and it sunk, and he escapes, but he deals with all this guilt from the fact he left people behind, and he goes to Sumatra in Indonesia and lives among this tribe, and the whole thing for me is painted with the backdrop of Sigur Rós, Valtteri, and so I hear it, and I sometimes if I really just need, if I've been at home and I've been looking after my son and I just haven't had anything creative in my life for a couple of days, I'll pick up Lord Jim, I'll put that album on, and I'll just sit and read, and it takes me back to that. And I think that the mind needs a holiday just as much as we think we need holidays ourselves, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's like Sigur Rós is like an emotional catalyst. If you're not like, hey, I'm not feeling something, it will make you feel something. You just play the right act. Yeah.
I guess and speaking of that, like that J.G. Farrell that wrote that book on Shanghai. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it's the one about the Japanese occupation of Shanghai in World War II. Empire of the Sun, it's called.
Okay.
And and I think it's the Sigur Rós album Tuck. I listened to that one and I'm taken back to that book as well. It's Sigur Rós is that's my reading music, 100%.
Oh man, we are like bonding like crazy over this one. We'll come back to this, but there is a comment by Stu Larson in the chat. Has Tim ever read The Road by Jack London?
Stu bought me a really beautiful copy of The Road by Jack London, and I lost it.
Oh.
He doesn't know this, but I moved house from Sydney up to Brisbane, which is about a 12-hour drive. And after we unpacked everything, recently I found the book. So the answer is no, I haven't read it yet.
But you found it again. That's a good thing.
I've got the copy upstairs somewhere in the bookshelf. I hope I haven't lost it again. I haven't seen it for a while, but I do have it. And
I
Stu
like how
got
he asked it so like mildly. Like he ask him if he has read this.
that's what he does. That's what he does. Yeah, he's amazing. Like, he's bought me yeah he bought it. That's such a beautiful copy of that book. I was with him actually. We were on a tour together in America. I think it might have been at the end of 2019 or the start of end of 2019, and we must have been, I guess we were in Minneapolis. I think we were in Minneapolis, and we found an old rare bookshop, and we found a first edition of Hemingway, and I can't think of which one it was. Across the river, and maybe it was across the river and through the trees. You'd have to ask Stu. Anyway, we found a first edition. I didn't have any money, but Stu had a bit of money. I convinced him to buy it. So he's got this beautiful. He's traveling around the world with this beautiful first edition Hemingway at the moment, and he probably hasn't read it too. You should ask him if he's read that one.
Stu, you should tell us in the comments if you have read that book, like the first edition. Yeah, interesting.
I think he might be. He actually might be watching at the moment.
Yeah.
If you're watching, Mr. Larson, you can tell us exactly what city we were in and exactly what the title of the book is.
Nice.
We were actually once reading about someone who gives the first edition of Walt
We were
Whitman's
reading
Leaves of
about Jack
Grass.
Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he gives the first edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass to people. He gifts them.
Yeah.
And he gifts this book a lot.
How does he find first editions everywhere?
He had written specifically, I gift first edition of this book to everyone. Like, I don't know, he's the CEO of Twitter, he might have
And I
some.
never wanted to be someone's best friend
Yeah.
until now.
Wow.
So Stu just commented he's still waiting to read it.
Fantastic. Yeah. So tell me, if you were going to buy or be gifted a first edition of any novel, what would it be for you guys?
Yeah, I think Vaani would be the better judge to answer this. Yeah, Vaani.
I have so many books.
Yeah.
But I really want The Little Prince. That's the first one that comes to mind. And I recently got a first edition. It's not a very famous book, but it has a very interesting name. And I was talking about it the other day as well. The name of the book is How to Get Over Your Ex with a Knife. And it's a cookbook. So it's a very catchy title, but it's a cookbook.
Yeah.
And it's a first edition, not at all famous, but yeah.
I reckon we could probably track it down for you. Or do you have it already, or do we need to track
I
that?
already have it. I got a second-hand copy of it, but it was a first-hand edition anyway.
Fantastic. Great. I love it.
Nice. I had a question, Tim. Like, what if I think like people use like the songs and soundtracks as like the background score and everything, but sometimes I feel like if you remove the song, the scene is not strong enough. The song is doing 80% of the heavy lifting. Like there's this film, unpopular opinion, everyone loves that film, I don't. It's Beautiful Boy, starring Steve Carell and Timothy Chalamet, and it's a movie about the relationship of a father and a son, and son is an addict. And that movie has a few of Sigur Rós songs in it, and they blend in perfectly. But I just feel if you remove the songs out of that movie, it's a very, very questionable movie in terms of like I don't think it would stand on its own. So have you also felt it like sometimes the music is so good and people don't give enough credit to the musicians and the background artists and the people who make the music, because if you remove it, it's nothing. The scene won't stand on its own, especially for the films which are not that good.
No, spot on. Hey, just give me 1 second. There's an alarm going off here. I'll be back in 1 second.
I'm so sorry we are doing this so late.
Hi Vaibhav, how are you?
Hey, I have the Rajasthan Royals match starting in
29. We should ask him about his favorite IPL team. Although I think he doesn't know about IPL. But
I'm pretty sure
wait,
he would
Australia
know
is big
about,
on cricket as
he
well.
would.
Yeah.
Like IPL is 30% Australian players only.
Yeah, you should ask him definitely.
Yeah. So I think he's not coming back. He did not like it. He's back, yeah. We were talking. Okay, first let's finish this thread. Yeah.
Remind me
Mu-
of the question. I was interrupted
music
by
in
Michael.
films, music in films.
Yes. And yeah, and you were talking specifically about the Steve Carell film.
Yeah,
With
not. I'm specifically talking about the films where the film is not strong enough on its own, and they put in some great music by some great artists, and
yeah,
it suddenly becomes like strong.
Yeah.
yeah,
And we don't give enough credit to the music here.
100%. And I guess that there's a lot of films like that. I mean, I feel like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is like that. Stu knows I love
Yeah.
that film. If he's still watching.
Yeah, he is watching, and like we were talking about cricket, and he just commented Tim is a big cricket fan. We'll come to cricket after this.
Right. Yeah. Another film is Garden State.
Garden State, yeah, nice.
Classic soundtrack to that. And I feel like music is so much the controller of mood that it's massive in a film. And if you ever listen to a film like a Jim Jarmusch sort of like where there's just there's just zero soundtrack, it actually can be quite unnerving.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that for me can be used as powerfully as a beautiful soundtrack. I don't like it as much.
Yeah.
I don't feel as good when I'm so there's just this eerie silence, but it can be powerful.
You reminded me of something. Have you heard of this Icelandic artist who like died recently, like last year, who did the soundtrack of Arrival, Johan Johansson?
No,
So he has also done the soundtrack of the movie Mother. So Mother, like starring Jennifer Lawrence, he did the soundtrack of the movie. I'll tell you how secure that person is. He did the soundtrack of the movie. Everything was ready. The final cut was ready, and you know what he felt. He felt the movie shouldn't have a soundtrack, and he went to Aronofsky and he said, you know, I put the whole soundtrack, but I think the film would work better without the soundtrack, and they removed the soundtrack.
wow.
And he was the one who suggested, hey, I made the soundtrack, but I think this film would work better without a soundtrack. And I was like,
Wow.
holy shit.
I genuinely find that inspiring though, because that's someone that is trying to make art and make great art just for the sake of making great art.
Yeah.
And knows that the end product will be better without what he's done, so he doesn't care. That's great.
Yeah, that's so rare. Yeah.
I don't think I'd have the strength to do that.
Me neither. Me neither. I don't think I would have the strength to. Yeah, just keep like 30 minutes of it. No, I know it's not working, but I worked on it. Please. Okay, remove it for 70%, but like, yeah, just keep some.
End credits, maybe.
Yeah.
I've worked so hard.
So, yeah, and like now let's talk about cricket. Have you been following IPL?
I haven't.
Okay.
I have to say I haven't.
Have you ever followed IPL? Like, have you ever been like?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
And I have to say I did watch. I did watch the first game, because Steve Smith is he playing for Delhi?
Yeah, he was the captain of Rajasthan Royals. He just moved to Delhi this year.
He's playing for Delhi, but he didn't get selected in the first game.
Yeah, so it's a very sad story. Like, there is no place for Steve Smith right now in Delhi.
It's an incredible side. I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where you'd put him.
Yeah.
He needs to bowl better. Maybe he'd get a run.
Yeah. Vaani, are you feeling left out?
No, I'll tell you what happens on the channel, Tim. So Vaibhav is a big IPL fan. He loves Rajasthan Royals.
I am not a big IPL fan. I'm a big fan of this one team, that is Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah,
which was
I'm just saying
Steve
it out
until
so that like nobody says. I had crossed my fingers so that Tim doesn't say I hate Rajasthan Royals, because we have moved all our streams, all our releases, if there is a match of Rajasthan Royals. So on Monday, for example, there was a match of Rajasthan Royals, and we moved our stream to Tuesday.
No. Streams still happen. I even come after that. Like, and people do it. I just request my team, hey, can you just take the lead on this one?
Can you please take over for these 3 hours? I'm going to be away.
The thing with Rajasthan Royals is that it always loses. And it's a toxic relationship I have with them.
But that's not true. It didn't. I thought didn't Vaani captain the Rajasthan Royals to the IPL
They won
champion?
the first time. They won the championship in 2008.
Shane won.
Yeah, Shane won. And since then, It's not
Well,
great.
they're my team too. I mean, that's who I would go for if I was a massive IPL fan because I'm
Ah,
a
nice.
massive
This is
Shane Warne
we are
fan.
bonding more over here than Sigur Ross or the yellow lights.
Absolutely.
Someone asked, does Jay asked in comments, does Tim like Dhoni?
Oh, he's fantastic. I mean, Dhoni is the embodiment of relaxation
Yeah,
and complete. Don't you reckon when you look at Dhoni and the way he conducts himself, that's someone who knows who he is and is completely comfortable with who he is as a person. I think he's fantastic. I like how he's always been with the younger players too, and I like how he's been with the opposition. He's gracious when he wins. He's gracious when he loses. He's fantastic.
that is something to learn from. Who are your favorite Australian players?
To be honest, it's hard. I really like Tim Payne, and I suppose I like Tim Payne because we went through a really dark time in Australian cricket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love the way he led us out of that through how he was as a person on and off the field. And he had a bit of trouble this last summer, but I still think he was fantastic. I was so disappointed in Smith and Warner and Bancroft, but more so Smith and Warner. But I love Smith so much because he's amazing.
Have you forgiven Smith for what he did?
Of course, mate. The thing is, they're kids, and the pressure is so great these days to win. And I feel like that's what I like about Justin Langer, who came in and as Australian coach. He's like, we're going to play tough to win, but it's about being good human beings too. And I feel like that's something that was lost in Australian cricket, perhaps before that happened in South Africa. And I've forgiven them definitely. I think as they're kids, they were trying to win. That was their job, but I think that being a good human being, having integrity is so much more than that.
Yeah.
So
Believe the same ways. I just can't hate Steve Smith. Even with the ball tampering and everything, I just can't hate him. Like it's like I love him so much that even if I would excuse him of like all these things that he does. I just can't hate him. He just looks so genuine to me. I don't know.
and apparently he is.
Yeah.
I think he got caught up in it, and he just wasn't. I guess he wasn't strong enough or whatever to stop it happening. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. But he's come back pretty strong, and I feel like he'll be good. He'll probably be Australian captain again, and he'll make a good captain.
Do you think that will happen?
I think so. I think it will. I think one thing that I've always found so strange in sport is you can be forgiven of almost anything if you're great. And I think that I don't think that should be how it is, but I think that is how it is. And I think the Australian public will probably, if he keeps scoring centuries, they'll probably give him enough for him to be captain again.
But like it's something very interesting you said, because I don't think that is the case in any other field. Like when you especially talk about the cancellation culture, like when people get cancelled, you said ki you will almost be forgiven of anything if your work is good वगैरह. I would hope in some of the cases people are more forgiving. People are not forgiving.
In music it's definitely like, I mean you see like amazing artists, and we could mention as many as we wanted, but like particularly like a great example is Ryan Adams. Like you think about how now after any sort of controversy in the music field, I think that it's really hard to come back from that. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sorry, did Brian Adams get cancelled?
Ryan Adams, as opposed to Brian.
Ryan Adams. Okay.
He's an American sort of. I guess his genre is probably, you'd call it Americana. Okay. He's an amazing artist, like incredible singer-songwriter, and very rock and roll. Okay. And he's done. I suppose he's probably done over 20 records. But yeah, he got in trouble like in the Me Too sort of movement. He got caught up in that, and he's found it he's found it really hard to come back from that. And I guess he was an artist that I really looked up to. So I mean, I think in the music world, and that's the only world I can really speak to. I mean, outside the sport world, which I'm obsessed with sport. Like I think in sport, if you're partisan, and so if you have a team, like and if you had a bad boy in the Rajasthan Royals, but he was going to take you to a title, like it's just a bit easier in sport to forgive someone for what they've done if they're
Yeah,
really great.
this is a very interesting point. It's about the field also, like where
Yeah.
people, yeah, this is
Is it also a selfish part about our own nature that we want something, so we want our team to win. We
yeah,
want to gain something out of it.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
we'll give that because we'll get something in the end out of it. And maybe I feel like the Australian public, maybe there's a bit of selfishness because we want to be great again at cricket. And Steve Smith maybe holds the ticket to that. So
absolutely. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if people, this is something I think about a lot. What if you are so big that you are uncancelable? Like let's say, like for instance, and I hope nothing ever bad happens to him. But what if something, for like just in a hypothetical situation, something bad, Christopher Nolan does something bad? Do you
yeah,
think people can cancel Christopher Nolan? Because even if they do, people would want to see a Christopher Nolan movie again. Hey, like whatever you did, we want to see what you make after Tenet.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I don't know if anyone is above. I mean, look, I think the cancel culture is a funny thing. I think it's not as cut and dry as we believe it is.
Yeah,
Uh, because in the end, the cancel culture might be the loudest, but I don't think they necessarily represent the majority. So like I feel like especially in the media and in movies and like in areas where it's very visual, things move so fast these days that it's interesting how people can come back. And
yeah,
maybe maybe there are people that are big enough to not be able to be cancelled. I'm not sure.
yeah. I also find it interesting how dead people keep getting cancelled. Like when
Yeah.
people have died and people find
Like
out
I
something.
think Tim mentioned initially, I don't want to be politically correct, but Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl, yeah, he
Yeah.
got cancelled after he
Been
died.
cancelled. He's been cancelled.
You are not immune to this at all. Like they just find
Yeah.
one thing, it doesn't matter what you did, and you'll be cancelled. This is crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't know. It's just very scary as an artist, and like it just feels scary at times.
yeah. I mean, like I guess like I was talking about this book that before the Anarchy about the East India Company, and it's interesting. There are some guys from like this book that are currently getting cancelled in England um, because it's people have gone. It's like what they did was shameful and exploitative, and we need to do something about it. And I feel like some of these guys were lived in the 1700s, you know, like, and they're getting cancelled today. So like maybe no one is immune. But I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like the last sentence I said is that maybe there are people that are above it, and now I've said that no one's immune. So I really don't know what I think.
Yeah, it's a very tricky thing. You just don't know what would happen, and but I just think my takeaway from everything that happens, people initially when it is important are not that forgiving. They might become forgiving when it doesn't matter for the person, but that person has now lost
Yeah.
everything. That person doesn't believe in society anymore, and you did not do anything good to him. It was just his own willpower or her own willpower which made them like be like, okay, let's stay put, let's not that they are trying to make a comeback or anything, but thinking about their mental health, especially when they are not wrong,
Yeah,
especially when they are not wrong in general about anything. That might be about the lyrics you put out of a song or a thing you said in a live stream. It can be anything. People when it matters are not forgiving. Then they are forgiving 3 years later, but by then that person is a completely different person, and the people are responsible for the fall of that person, I believe.
I agree. But do you think that also is a sign of how closely we are attached to what the greater world thinks of us because we're able to be on platforms like YouTube and on social media, and we're reliant on it in many ways, especially like we're, you know, like if we're in the arts like we are, like I guess we're reliant in many ways on of being able to reach people and to interact, and if that's taken away from us, then part of how we exist is taken away too. And maybe if we could switch that off, we might be able to deal with it mentally, but then a lot of what we've put our time and energy into would be gone also. So it's a, you know, the greater access and mobility we have with all these, I guess, new avenues for communication and technology, like also the greater risk we run with it being taken away from us, or I guess for us, for people to turn on us, you know. I mean, they might turn on me because I have bad music taste and bad taste in literature, but I hope not. Stu Larson wouldn't turn on me.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know like his thoughts on all of it also someday, huh? Yeah, like what, like do you have any idea what he thinks of the cancel culture? Like, do you guys talk about these things? Or do you just like are like at each other, hey, read the book I gifted you, or read the book you gifted?
I don't. I don't. I have no idea what Stu thinks about that. I think most of our conversations revolve around pretty simple things at the moment because we don't get to catch up that often. Just, you know, like, but you know, I think that the thing about Stu, and I'd like to think about myself too, is that everyone I see Stu come across, he treats with amazing respect and dignity, and I think that if you do that.
He just commented, "I will never turn on you."
But I think if you treat people with respect and dignity in general, then you're probably a little bit less a risk of being sort of caught up in it. And maybe to that end, we've probably never had the need to discuss it.
Nice. So I wanted to ask a few questions on music now. Are you a Apple Music person or a Spotify person?
Spotify.
Why?
I was Apple Music because it was a platform I understood and it was easy. But I changed over to Spotify about 18 months ago, and I haven't looked back. It's been really amazing for me to be able to discover new music, and like I even love being able to make a playlist myself and share it with someone. It feels like we're going back to when we had cassette tapes and we could make a mixtape and share it with our friends. That's what it feels like to me, and I really like. Just it makes sense to me. The Spotify platform's very intuitive, and despite the fact that allegedly as musicians we earn nothing from it, I really love it for me exploring and discovering new music. You know, you make a playlist and down the bottom it keeps giving you suggestions of new artists, and I'm constantly listening to new music. There's so much good stuff. It's fantastic.
This is so nice. Vaani, you were telling me, right? Like, Tim makes these like sessions on like Spotify.
Mixtapes. You have like monthly mixtapes. Yeah. So I was telling Vaibhav about the same.
Okay, nice.
My April mix is not out yet, but it's a cracker. It's really good. I'm almost finished it.
Nice. Yeah, Vaani, please.
Okay. I actually got. So
yeah, okay. So I'll like. Are you into jazz?
I wouldn't say I'm into jazz. I enjoy jazz, but I'm definitely not knowledgeable about jazz.
Yeah, my end point for jazz recently, apart from La La Land, was this movie starring Ethan Hawke, Born to Be Blue. It's a movie where he played the role of Chet Baker.
Really?
Yeah, it's very interesting. He played the role of Chet Baker, and there was this another jazz musician at the time of Chet Baker who was very famous. Who are the famous jazz artists, guys? Can you name a few? Because that person was very big, but he was a little arrogant. I can't remember, but like you see the dynamic between Chet Baker, who is like this indie struggling artist. He is big, but he's still indie in a way. The other guy was big, he was the mainstream guy, and he looked down upon Chet Baker. So it's a very, very good film, Born to Be Blue. Yeah. If someone knows like the artist I'm talking about, please tell us in the comments the artist who was there at the time of Chet Baker. Miles Davis.
Oh, Miles Davis. Oh, right.
Yeah, they have not portrayed him in a good light. Born to Be Blue. Yeah.
Was Chet Baker the one that he had a whole bunch of drug issues too? And
yeah, I think so. Like, yeah. I get. I think the artist who has come out recently, Chet Faker. I think he like took his name from there, na? Chet
I think so.
Faker.
I think
He's also very famous. Yeah.
yeah, he's got a good
What about rock music? Do you also listen to a lot of rock?
yeah, I do. Yeah. I suppose I know I had a real shot at pop music before, but I'm pretty open when it comes to music. I like anything that sounds ironically quite melodic and sweet. I enjoy. Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice.
Does
And
your
have
mood also like do your song choices depend on the time of the day? For example, I wake up in the morning and I listen to old Bollywood songs from the 80s, which are absolute crass and nobody likes them. But then as during the day, I'm more of rock, and towards the night, it's more acoustic and or maybe instrumental.
Definitely, the part of the day is a massive thing, and it depends on the day too. Like over here on a Saturday, when my wife and I, it's like no one's working. I feel like the type of music you put on, it's relaxing music. If you're going for a run, or doing a workout. Stu's fantastic Stu Larson's fantastic at doing workouts, by the way. Very fit man. But if you're doing a workout, you'll listen to like music to get you excited, and then if I'm on the plane or if I'm on the road, like I'll probably be listening to like music that I guess is pretty like mellow and acoustic and has a great story, and I feel like I'm on a journey with. So yeah, definitely the time of the day or the place I'm in makes a massive difference.
What are
like
the songs that you listen to? I'm so sorry,
yeah,
never mind.
yeah.
Cut you.
Please, please. Yeah.
I was just asking because I'm trying to fix a workout playlist for myself.
So I'll tell you
What are
one
the
thing. Like I'm glad you mentioned like workout. So there's this clip recommendation which keeps coming on my YouTube homepage. It's a Joe Rogan clip where he's talking to someone and the guy is telling him how using music while working out is cheating and you should not use it. And I don't even click on the video because I'm like, hey, don't take this away from me, dude. Music is one of the reasons why I work out. And it's like there is this guy who is talking why you shouldn't do it. I don't even click on the video, and I know I have to someday watch it. How you should not use music while you are working out because
Don't
it's
have to. Don't click on it. Don't click on it.
yeah. So I
so
won't
what is the
watch it.
music both of you listen to while working out?
You know what? There's a great, and I don't necessarily listen to this because when you see it, you're going to be shocked. There's a great Australian artist called Donny Benet. His last name is Benet, Donny Benet, and there is a song called "Working Out," and the film clip is quite interesting. I think you might enjoy it.
Nice.
All the listeners / watchers should go and check out Donny Benet working out. I like rock music when I'm doing any form of exercise. I'm not talking Eye of the Tiger. I'm not talking 80s. I'm talking like old school 90s, like Pearl Jam,
Nice.
Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Like that's the sort of Stone Temple Pilots. Like that's the sort of stuff. I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm in high school again. Like I really like it. Like I feel good.
And I also want to know how nostalgic of a person are you, and how just I think I seek nostalgia a lot. I consciously seek, hey, let me go there, let me do this. This reminds me of this. So, are you a person who seeks nostalgia in terms of your music and in terms of your life?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because this year, like as an experiment, I was like, I like drinking beer and wine. I love it. But this year, I was like, I'm not gonna drink all year. I've got a lot of work on. I want to be very present constantly, and actually these feelings of nostalgia have been like popping up all over the place for me. Like something will happen, and I'll remember a really great memory from when I was young, or even from last year or something. And I've found that the ability for me to actually be able to enter that feeling and I guess embrace the nostalgia. Like for example, simple things like going into the city and sitting in an old cafe and reading and maybe or maybe just sitting with a coffee and watching people and it reminds me of like just when I'd finished high school and I didn't know what I was going to do and I've found the ability to be able to go back and I guess feel the same emotion and I think my nostalgia previously had nothing to do with me. It had more to do with wanting to exist in a back in the 40s or in the 60s. And I'm like, if only I was born in the time of Somerset Maugham and Graham Greene, like, and Hemingway, like, it would have been fantastic, and I would have been a wonderful writer too. But these days, I find myself going more to back to personal memories, and it's nice. Like, I was the other day, I was in the park with my son, and I remembered a time. It was so strange. I remember like my first memory was like when I was about 2 years old, and I hadn't thought of this memory for probably 20 years, and it was incredible. And I don't know what it is, but maybe part of it is the fact that I've decided not to drink any alcohol this year, so my head's not cloudy, very clear headed and present. Yeah. So yes, I'm a nostalgic person. Long-winded
Yeah,
answer.
same. Like I relate like hell to this, and all the artists that I also like they tell us like nostalgia is like your gold mine, like the memories that you have, that's all you have, and like no matter how much you move on, this is my theory at least. Ki, hey, be in the moment and like look forward all the time, but I have to go back there because I have to go back and steal stuff, or I don't know if it's stealing, like I tell Vani a lot, and I've said this so many times. While meditating, I think about memories. I don't know if it's any form of meditation. I think about I'm sitting in that room when I was 8 years old, and I don't know if it is valid to be called as meditation, but I'm so inherently nostalgic, and it kind of helps. It's like it helps my work, it helps my writing, and it's it makes you sad. It makes you like a little depressing, like human being, but you get more out of it than not.
I completely agree with you. I think for me these days as well, like, I have a grandma that's she's about to turn 90, and sometimes I'll sit with her and ask her about when she was young, and I feel like the older we get, like you said, what we have is our memories, and for her, that especially now, her world is not much outside her apartment. So I feel like every time we sit and talk, we go on a little journey together,
Wow.
and it's very beautiful. It's I feel like I understand a lot more about who I am because I get to hear stories about where I came from.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
And my favorite writer is Ray Bradbury, and he says this: ki whenever you ask your grandparents or someone very old, like, hey, why don't you tell me about the war? Why don't you tell me about the time, the partition, or something? And when they are speaking poetry. They speak poetry because they are so much into it. You just well, there's this whole paragraph in Dandelion Wine where he has written how their mood changes, they bend in a little, there is this sparkle in their eyes, and they start speaking poetry because those memories are so much ingrained in their life. And every time, like the things we are passionate about, like when I talk about Sigurros, I would like to believe I speak poetry at least like a very low level of poetry, but it's just that the passion is so much there. So it's like even people believe in something, that's what's true with lyrics also. Now when you write the lyrics nicely, that's not just lyrics and poetry can be like very interchangeable words, right? Like if I'm not wrong,
I feel so.
are they the same, poetry and lyrics?
I don't think so. I don't think they're the same. I think
Please,
they
do
can
you
be the
consider
same.
yourself as a poet?
I don't know. No, I don't. I don't. I don't know if I am. I think I would be nervous to claim that I'm a poet. I think that I think sometimes when you read people's lyrics out of the context of music, they seem ridiculous. I think sometimes you listen to an artist and you read the lyrics and it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but it's not. I think it's case by case. I don't think every songwriter is a poet, but I think there are some that are poets. Like I think Nick Cave is a poet.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Yeah.
yeah, and like I feel like Paul Simon is too. There are some.
I'm finding such great question. Do you think the band members of Pink Floyd were poets?
I don't know. Maybe I feel like I sense more. I sense more like activism in tree. I mean, I can't stop thinking of, when I think of Pink Floyd, just about how good Dave Gilmour is on the guitar, you know. But like, I never thought of them as poets. Like,
So, but like the way you're saying, it feels like you put poetry as a superior art form than being a songwriter or a musician. Is that so? This is a network issue or something?
nice.
It's working.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I think there's some trouble that's coming in between.
yeah. Let me quickly check now, guys.
Yeah.
It's showing excellent connection here.
I think it has stopped from.
Yeah, everything should be fine right now. I'm so sorry, Tim, about this. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
I'll just make a quick comment.
Guys, can you see us? I see your stream health. This is. It's showing stream as healthy. Oh, Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I will have to. Damn, I hate this.
There's a slight lag in your frame.
Yeah, slightly.
I changed my camera to the worst one, so yeah, like you'll have to do with this now. I think the lag will go away now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so like we should ask just for fun, let's be a sport and like we'll ask you 10 bands or artist name, poet or not poet. Okay, do you think Sigur Rós, poet, not poet?
I don't know what he's singing. I'm gonna say no, not
Nice. Beatles.
yes and no. Poetry, it's sometimes and definitely sometimes not. Probably more poetry from John Lennon.
More poetry from John Lennon. Okay. The next one, Billie Eilish.
Better songs from Paul.
Yeah.
Billie
Billie Eilish.
Not poet.
Justin Bieber.
Not poet.
Eminem.
Who?
Eminem.
Poet.
Hey, nice. Can you think of more, Vaani?
Yeah.
I'm just going for the very famous ones,
Yeah. Rihanna.
No.
Not poet. Any names at the top of your head? See, Vaibhav, like these are the poets. I'll tell you, they are the poets. These are not. Yeah.
But you know what's really like you mentioned Eminem. Like I think. So I guess you would say that I write folk music. Like I guess you would say folk music, singer-songwriter music. I feel like the most closest relation to folk music is hip hop, in that the way that rappers like like the Common, Talib Kweli, like even Lupe Fiasco, the way they write lyrics is so incredible. Like I'm obsessed with it. Like I think that for me is pretty close to the highest form of written word in music comes from hip hop artists. I think it's so clever, and I guess like that I aspire to that. And so I think there are definitely poets that exist, but then there's just some crap out there.
Yeah.
Like I mean, and most of what makes it onto mainstream radio is so watered down and uninteresting.
Yeah.
And even when it's trying to be edgy, it's not clever. Like, yeah, that it makes you sad.
I have a personal question as an artist. Is it okay to be superficial?
I guess it depends on what your goal is. I mean, like I personally. Are you talking about in terms of creating art?
Yeah. In terms of can my art be superficial?
Well, yeah. I mean, the answer is yes. If you're, I mean, it depends on what your goal is. I think I would find it really difficult to be inauthentic in writing.
But what if my authentic self is just one layer of Because what if I am not a very deep person and who doesn't want to go like four layers down? And what if, hey, this is what I'm interested in, I got it. Like I wanted to write a song about the top layer of pizza, and like I just did it. So is it okay? Like in your dictionary, do you think it's fine?
Yeah, I think it's like, the current craze, I think, around the world is everyone's getting tattoos everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And my cousin has 30 tattoos, and I was talking to her about, why do you have all these tattoos and what do they mean to you? And like, look at that, you've got a pineapple on your shoulder. Like, what's that going to mean to you when you're 70 years old? And she said, that's the thing. It doesn't mean anything to me now, so it won't mean anything to me then. And
Oh
I
my
feel,
God.
I feel like that's kind of okay, because
Ah.
I think if you made a really dramatic statement, about your life, and it was written across your arm, and then at 70 you were like, oh, I was so young and childish. I think that the safer bet's the pineapple. So if you want to write about the top of the pizza, you probably won't be disappointed about it in 30 years.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. And maybe that you could make the accusation that sometimes us as songwriters are too serious, and maybe we're too serious about our art, and we're too solemn in what we do, and maybe we should be a little lighter. And I've written the occasional lighter song. I just end up hating it.
Nice. This is interesting.
I also have like one last question from my end, and it's about books. Are there any particular? Do you have any particular? I don't know what it would be called, but a particular thing for certain form of books. For example, I keep on going back to coffee table books, especially the ones that are very weird, how to swear or things like that. But are there any particular form of books that you keep going back to?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a real not only am I like a big reader, but I'm also very frugal. I don't like to spend a lot of money, so I like these vintage books because
Oh,
they're really cheap, and there's really great authors you can get. And I like the Penguin classics, the orange ones. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I love them too because they're $10,
yeah.
and you can get like Hemingway, you can get like F. Scott Fitzgerald, you can get like Graham Greene, you can get your Joseph Conrad, like you can get it. And I love the way they look on a bookshelf too. So I need to have at least 20 or 30 orange ones and the same of the red ones, and then all the older sort of novels I have, they can sort of sit in between, and then people can think I'm really smart and cultured.
Nice.
That's nice.
But this was really nice. I like we would love to do these conversations with you again, Tim. Thank you so much for like joining us at 11 p.m. and
When it
yeah,
started, I think it's 12 now.
yeah. Oh, it's yeah. Obviously, like it's like 12. And is there anything from our end that we did not touch upon, but you would want to talk about? Ki, hey, we missed this. Let's talk about this. Anything?
No, it was genuinely very much enjoyable on my end. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tim. And let's do
Right.
another one soon. And maybe we can also have a song the next time you're with us. Like, yeah. And
Sure.
thank you so much, Vani. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I wasn't saying
I
anything.
think you
I
were
was
like,
just, yeah.
okay. So, and we have guys put the links to Tim's channel and Instagram in the comments. So you should definitely go and follow him and subscribe to his YouTube channel and follow him on Instagram. And this was really good. So thank you so much, Tim, for doing this.
Fantastic. Easy, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon.
Yes.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye.
Good night.
1 second.